11th standard English. Students, now we are going to learn about Unit 6 poem, The Hollow Crown. The hollow crown is that empty. So there is one empty and crown is yet a valuable gift. Okay, so the title is that The Hollow Crown. Okay, Unit 6 poem. Who is the author of this poem? William Shakespeare. He is a familiar person, the familiar author. That's we know that the William Shakespeare of this poem. Okay, so here we have 8 stanzas of this poem. Okay, just I have written here now 2 stanza. Okay, so before we learn this poem, just let us learn about this, the background of the poem. Then we will continue that. Okay, so here the background, the historical background. The poem is an extract from William Shakespeare's play King Richard of the Second. The King Richard of the King. The William Shakespeare's plays in this poem. The play is based on true events that occurred towards the end of the 14th century. True event. When did it happen? The 14th century. Richard II was crowned the King of England in the year 1377. He continued to be the British monarch until 1399, when he was deposed by his cousin Henry of Bolingbroke. Henry of Bolingbroke, the King of England, that is the Bolingbroke, who crowned himself King Henry the fourth in the same year. He crowned himself. Shakespeare's play is a dramatic rendition of the last 2 years of King Richard's II's life. The King Richard's II's life, Shakespeare's play here. In this brief span of time, he was ousted from his royal position and sent to prison. And he sent to prison where he died in captivity. Okay, so where he died in captivity. The following extracts set in the coast of Wales. King Richard and some of his followers awaited arrival of the Welsh army. A Welsh army of about 1,000 warriors. But to their shock and surprise, they received the message that the army was not coming to the rescue. His followers tried to boost their king's courage against the news, only in vain. When Richard came face to face with the reality of his terrible fate, he spoke the following verse, famously known as Hollow Crown. Speech in theatrical circles. In it, King Richard is reminded of the power of death that overshadows everything else, including the power of rules, and renders them as powerless as any commoner at a moment's that notice. This is Shakespeare's the real event happened. So Shakespeare has given this play of this poem. Okay, so we have 8 stanzas of this poem. So just I have written here 2 stanza. So okay, so here first listen to reading of the complete poem, then read silently and try to answer the questions. So below, after completing this poem, just the poem appreciation and alliteration, figures of speech, that alliteration, similes, everything it will be covered. Okay, so here just let us learn about the first 2 stanzas here. Let's talk of graves of worms and epitaphs. Let's talk of graves of worms and epitaphs. Each and every one, just we have to talk about in ourselves, how to live in our life. So here, graves of worms and epitaph. Epitaph is which means a memory of person. Make dust of paper. Just make a dust of paper. What is the meaning of the dust of paper? So we have many things, many sorrows and sadness. Everything it will be covered. So we have to rectify it in our life, way of life. So here, make dust of paper and with rainy eyes. With rainy eyes. How we will delete, how we will erase off our sorrow. So through the rainy eyes, we will delete it. We will erase. Write sorrow on the bosom of the earth. Write sorrow on the bosom of the earth. So if we have sorrow and sadness in our life, Just we have to write on our earth. So don't go away with your sorrow, with your sadness. So just leave it, not this earth. Let's choose executors. Let's choose executors and talk of wills. So talk of wills, which means legal document. The wills, which means a legal document. So let's choose executors and talk of wills. If we have any documents, the proof in our life, way of life, just we have to communicate with others who are left. Good way of life. So that's it will be showed. Who are you? That good attitude and characters, everything it will be shown. Okay, again I repeat the first stanza. Let's talk of graves, of worms and epitaphs. Everyone they are talking about this human bodies, souls, and graves of worms and epitaphs. Make dust or paper. Make dust or paper and with rainy eyes. Yes. Make dust or paper and with rainy eyes. Write sorrow on the bosom of the earth. Have to write on our sorrow and sad on our earth. Let's choose executors. Just choose the executors with truthful person, faithful person. Just we will choose in our life, and then we will discuss. So what we are going to do that in our life. Let's choose the executors and talk of wills. Talk of wills, which means what I have said here. So wills, which means a legal document. Okay. Next, second stanza. And yet not so, for what can be bequeathed. Bequeathed, which means here to give. And yet not so, for what can be to give in our life, in our earth. So what we are going to sacrifice, so to give, that is a bequeath. And yet not so, for what can be bequeathed. Say our deposed. Deposed, which means forcefully. Say our force. So save our courage. That is the force, almost the same meaning. Save our courage. Say our deposed, that forcefully bodies to the ground. Save our bodies forcefully to the ground. So questions they have asked. Our lands, our lives and all are Bolingbroke. Bolingbroke, which means here King of England. So already I have said, before I start this poem, I have said that who is the Bolingbroke? King of England. Okay, our lands, our lives and all are it belongs to Bolingbroke. So Bolingbroke, what I have said here, so Bolingbroke is a King of England. And then nothing can be called our own but death. And nothing can be called our but death. So no one is belonging to ourselves. Everything belongs to Bolingbroke and nothing can be called our own. But death only is permanent in ourselves. Other things it will belong to King of England, Bolingbroke. Okay, so first two stanzas we have finished, and next we will start the third stanza here now. This is third stanza here. And that small model of the barren earth, which serves as space and cover to our bones. For God's sake, let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the kings. And tell sad story of the king. So okay, here, and that small model of the barren earth. Small model of the barren earth. So this is a small model of the barren earth, which here the earth serves as space and cover to our bones. In this earth, it covered to our bones. Yes, it gives more benefit. So he has given that like, which serves as space and cover to our bones. For God's sakes, for God's grace, what it has given. Let us sit upon the ground. So God's grace, through the God grace, let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories. And tell sad stories of the king. So we can talk about that, the king's death. So that tells sad stories of the kings. Okay, so through the God's grace, let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the king. So it was nice stanza of this poem. Okay, again I repeat this stanza. And that small moral of the barren earth, which serves as space and covers to our boards. For God's sake, let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the king. So every human beings are selfish. So here, see, this is a role model of this poem we can use. So how to live. So that is a Bolingbroke only. Here's the main theme of this poem here, that King of England. Already I have said the King of England. So everything it belongs to King of England, that Bolingbroke. Okay. So in our death is permanent, but our lives, our breaths. Okay. So all it belongs to King of England. So they have given it. Okay. So this hollow crown is a empty, that valuable gift. But here William Shakespeare has said clearly his place. Okay. So and then his remaining 8 stanza. Okay. So totally 5 stanza here. So we have seen only 3 stanzas. So remaining 5 stanzas. So next class we will continue that. I hope you all understood this first 3 stanzas. So first, second, 3 stanzas, third. So we have finished. And then next class we will continue that the figures of speech also. So where is that personification and metaphor, similes. So whatever it is, just we will be covered. Thank you, students.